let's talk about the RX-78-2 Gundam. High grade. The RX-78-2 is the star of the original Mobile Suit Gundam. May not be your favorite, but he is the star. He is the standout. He is the Gundam of the series. The standalone Gundam, which would not be a thing after this. After this, it would get saturated very, very fast. Hell, Zeta, just going into Zeta, which is the next step in the Universal Century, we're already saturating. Because we have the Gundams Mark II, they're already mass-produced. Now, I'm not saying that these weren't. I'm not saying that the Gundam wasn't mass-produced, because if we're not going to get into all the extra stuff, because we're here to talk about Gunpla. But after this point, you would have like 5, 6, 7 Gundams in a series, easily. Because, like, even in Zeta, there were, like, it started with, like, four Mark IIs, and then that later was, then later here come the Zeta, and basically the Hyakushiki, even though it's not a Gundam, it's essentially a frickin' Gundam. Like, this guy was special. He was standalone. He's the thing that started the series, so I figure he should be the thing that starts our Gunpla talk. Now, building this Gunpla, I only used 3 tools. I used these snips. I used this box cutter. And I used this sandpaper stick. These you can buy frickin' at Walmart or any hardware store, anything of that, Hobby Lobby, anything you want to do, you go down, you get one of these. You get them in a pack of like 4 or 5 of them sometimes. They're very simple. If you want, but this is getting into tricky, you can have a lighter handy. I don't advise you get into lighter stuff because we're talking simple, and I did not use that to do anything that we are about to talk about. I used those 3 tools. That is all I used. That is how I built this Gundam. The book is very standard. This is very standard for what you're going to see when you build one of these guys. Now this, just to put you off here, this is painted. They paint theirs so that the manual looks really cool and it looks like what you're going to make. It's not exactly what you're going to make. I suggest that when you start these, for my discussions, I'm telling people that want to get into Gunpla, start in high grade. Start in high grade. There's nothing wrong with high grade. In fact, in high grade, you can get any Gundam that you want. High grade is normally the first thing off the line. Any show that has made any Gundam or any alternate thing, like builds that didn't actually appear in the show, will appear in high grade. You can get anything you want and put it on your shelf. Some of them are not as good as the other grades. But believe it or not, sometimes the high grades will even be better than the other ones that you can make from the higher grades. And it's shocking sometimes when that happens, but that does happen. When you are done with this unit, you will have pieces left over. So do not be alarmed. This will be a normal thing. The parts that you will have left over in this kit when you are done is this thing. This is for your butt. In case you don't clip the rocket launcher onto him, the bazooka, that can cover his butt. I don't do that because I do actually clip mine. You will have, in this kit, you will get 2 closed fist hands. Then you will get a trigger finger hand. And then you will get 2 open hands. You will get 2 beam sabers, which are already on the Gundam, right there and there. And you will get 2, these are good, actually, because you will find that these will not always be good. You will get 2 saber colors to actually extend the beam sabers. And these are nice. I like these a lot. When they actually look and feel presented like this, I like these a lot, because we're going to talk about some of these others. Not all of these are perfect. But the last thing you will get is a hyper bazooka. You will get a shield, and you will have a beam rifle. Depending on how you decide to set your Gundam up, you may end up using the beam rifle. That's what I normally have mine with. And I normally have this sitting on his back. The reason I left it off was to show you how this works. The shield actually will clip into his back here. This will clip onto here, and he will carry the bazooka with him like that. Just like in the show, he can actually carry all his stuff like he's supposed to. He has 2 beam sabers, he has a shield, he has the bazooka, and he has the gun right there in battle. He's ready for combat. It doesn't come with a Gundam hammer. I'm not necessarily marking it down for that, but it doesn't come with a Gundam hammer, and it also does not come with a Gundam javelin. These aren't deal breakers, but there's something to mention. Now, we could make a Gundam javelin, but it's a little complicated to do, and maybe at some point, if I actually decide to do something like that, I'll actually show you how I would do that. But look, this is how the unit will turn out when he's done. This is his back. The color is very good here. Nothing has been painted. You will get certain little tabs here, okay? Like on his back right here. You could try to sand these down. What I do is for every single piece that I cut off the board, I cut it as close as I can with this when I cut it off the board. Then I trim it so I get the nub off, so I graze it. Then after I get the nub, I sand down that little part just enough to smooth out the edges. That will keep a lot of those little tabs from showing up. Now, some of these are made so well that you will hide the tabs by simply making the Gundam. Some are not. Some you will see those tabs and you need to do something about it. There were a set of stickers for this Gundam. They weren't ultra complicated. The stickers that came on this Gundam were his eyes. And that was it. His eyes. Oh, and this thing here. That was also a sticker. As far as I remember, making this guy, there were no other stickers. The Gundam is solid. The RX-78-2 is very solid for what you're going to get here. His movement is high. This arm will come all the way up. All the way up. It will go all the way out. Woo. It can go way up like this. It can go down. The shoulders pivot nicely, as you can see. It's on a decent joint here. Even this little thing here, it even swivels around. So the arms have great movement. The wrist goes up and down here. So the wrist can do this or this. It can spin around all the way. Its movement is incredibly solid. You're going to pose the hell out of this thing. Its head is decent. It looks all the way up. It looks down. It turns. It turns. Decent head movement. The hands are very easy. The hands are incredibly easy. You just pop them out. There it is. Pop in the one you want. There it is. It's very simple. The guns, they're fine. They're fine. They're 2-3 pieces of plastic. You stick them together and they're done. One One thing I will say that I was interested, that yellow here, normally this would be a sticker or you would have to paint it. In this model, in this version, I didn't have to do that. That is a plus on this unit quite a bit. Now there's other things that you could paint. You could get crazy and you could go into adding the lines and whatnot, which some people, what they do is they buy a marker type of thing, a very fine point marker, and they go over all the little intricate lines. I'm not doing that. My goal here is to show you these are the products when they're done. This is it. In terms of buildability for this guy, now this is the first time we've ever done this, so I'm gonna get better at these as we do them. In terms of buildability for this Gundam, it was very easy. He is one of the simpler things that I have ever made. Oh, and a thing to point out, his belly actually, because he does have, let me get his arms up so we can actually do it, move his shield. He will turn. It's a little more difficult one direction than the other, see, because you got to lift him up a little bit, but he will turn completely, even all the way around, and his stomach actually pivots up and down. So you can get some really cool poses out of him. These little side things here, they will actually go up as you do kicks, and you can do a hell of a kick. The Gundam will kick your ass. There's decent ball joint, there's a decent joint configuration here. This is where you'll put your action stand if you get one. The feet are decent. They go up, down, they move left, right. They pivot a little bit on the side to side here, as you can see, which is helpful. They can take just about any pose you need them to take. So this is a hell of a pose. Just to show you here, take this little thing off. This is how this works. It's just a little peg. You just push in the little leg armor here. There it is. This is the RX-78-2. It is a hell of a good build. Hell of a good build. This is the HC, the HG high grade Gundam. I can't talk all of a sudden. This is the high grade. This is what it will turn out like. This is the RX-78-2. You get the shield. These come off so that you can actually pull that off. And you can add the beam saber just like I talked about. And there it is. And this is solid. This is nice, because we're going to talk about some of these swords that are not nice. They're not nice. They're fucking awful. Okay? And anytime you just take that, you put it right back on there. Pretty simple. There it is. Everything on him is solid. He doesn't fall apart. He doesn't really break. He gets used a lot, actually. He takes a different pose every other week. So he's a solid build. This one is a good starting point. It's a damn good starting point. It looks great. Very little problems did I encounter. In fact, because I said I would point out the worst part of every single build, there is a worst part. While this one is relatively simple, his eyes, that's a pain in the ass. Eye stickers are a pain in the ass. It's just the way it is. I already pointed out everything that would be inside your box. So there it is. You can keep your box or whatever you want to do with it. Gundam goes in there. He'll go back on the shelf. And that was it. That was the RX-78-2 high grade. I just wanted to go over it, kind of show it to you, give you an idea that you don't have to paint. Nothing special has been done to these. That's the whole point of coming in and talk about these. You are just starting out. You are incredibly basic. You never painted. You've never made a model. This is it. This is what he'll be. This is solid. This goes on the shelf with no problem whatsoever. You don't have to overdo it. Sand down your pegs. Make sure he looks nice. Build him. Don't rush. He's a simple build. He'll go on the shelf. He'll look cool. I'm telling you, this guy is win. He's a very good starting point for anybody that wants to get into Gunpla, and he won't need any kind of extra to go on your shelf. That was it. RX-78-2. Later on.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.